Today we are going to talk about why I left. Multiple people have asked me to share this story. I'll start off by saying two things. One, this is about a chain of events. Two, there will be images that are hard to see that involve my toddler getting bit by a dog in the face. I will warn you before these images are put on the video. I'm also done sugarcoating the truth to benefit other people. I am done affording people the chance to look better than they are when they're not that great. I met my daughter's dad in 2020 and I left him in 2023. We met on a dating app. We had hung out a couple of times and we decided to go our separate ways. And then I found out I was pregnant. After I found out I was pregnant, we went into lockdown. When my daughter was 6 months old, my apartment building had a rodent issue and I had to move out immediately. The apartment complex refused to treat the problem and he said, "Hey, move in with me." And I said, "Okay." So I moved in. After I moved in with my ex, I decided that if I was gonna have another child, I wanted to have another child in close age with my first child. Being pregnant for me personally was a traumatic experience. I did not like it one bit. I hated being pregnant. My body didn't tolerate it very well. And so I kind of wanted to get it over with, if you will. So we decided to get married and have a second child together. I am pregnant with my second child. I get laid off from my job. I got laid off 11 days before Christmas. My husband was getting orders to move from Oregon to Virginia. I had to Google Virginia, by the way. I didn't know where the F it was. That was great. I have no job, I'm pregnant, and I have to move across the country because I can't stay here. That is the preface of how we came to be. We have no one in Virginia. I mean, no one. Not a single soul in Virginia. I have 2 kids and 2 dogs. My pit bull was starting to growl at my older daughter. My daughter would hit the dog. I know what you guys are thinking, okay? But like, I have a newborn, I can't be everywhere at once. So just listen to the story. And the pit bull would growl. And then my daughter would think it was hilarious. And so she would hit him again. And so it was a constant separating my daughter and my dog. So I rehomed my pit bull. I couldn't get my daughter to stop hitting him. She would wait till like no one was there. She would seek him out. So we have 1 dog, a newborn, and a toddler. It is Easter. This is how our Easter started out. We were taking family photos, and this is the last picture that I have. And then I am warning you now, I will now show you images of my daughter after she was bitten by the dog. We called 911. I told him to hang up the phone. I had one friend in Virginia. We have to call my friend instead to come stay with the baby. We can't all go in this ambulance. We need a car. Just hang up the phone. So I call my friend. I say, "You have to get here now. My daughter was bit. You have to come stay with my baby. We're going to go to the emergency room." She said, "Okay," on her way. My daughter to the emergency room and she is treated for her facial wound. Dog bite occurred. It was traumatic. I do not wish that experience on any person in the world. It was his dog. If that had been my dog, well, it wouldn't be alive. We get home, the dog is obviously separated from everyone. It kind of felt like there was a divide between us. He tried to explain to me and to get me to understand that this was his companion. This dog had been there for him. I did not have the mental capacity to understand what he was going through when my daughter was going through what she was going through. I could not take on the mental load of his struggles with this scenario. He actually thought that there would be a way to keep the dog. I will give context to this bite. My daughter was hitting the dog. The dog could not get away and the dog reacted. This was an accident. This could have been prevented, but it happened and we had to figure out what we were going to do now. My daughter goes back to daycare and her dad goes back to work. I am like, why is this dog still here? I don't understand. It's been a week. Why is this dog still here? He is telling me one thing, the shelter doesn't have any room. He's giving me all these excuses, right? I'm talking to my best friend who lives in California. She's like, this doesn't sound right. Give me the names of some shelters. She calls me back. My friend tells me, I don't believe her, by the way. I do check this. I call the shelter back. My at the time husband called them and said, I want to surrender my dog. They took down all of his information. And my friend goes, great, last name is this. And they go, yeah, that's the last name. And my friend goes, okay, good. Like the dog bit their daughter. Like they're really trying to get rid of the dog. And the lady at the shelter says, hold up. What do you mean this dog bit someone? He filled out this application and he said this dog is good with children, has never bitten, and is good with other animals. When I heard that he did that, it was over for me. He was so concerned about his dog getting put down that he lied. This dog was not good with other people. This dog, it was a cattle dog. I will show this dog's picture. This is this dog. And it only liked him. I had to fight to the nail for this dog to like me. I had to throw the ball for this dog. I had to give this dog 100 treats. This was a one-man dog. This dog hated other people. To lie to a shelter and try to rehome this dog was unforgivable to me personally. That was it for me. I was fucking done. I waited for him to get home and we had a conversation. And in that conversation, I just knew no one was going to see either person's side. And that was so sad. I was so sad at what I had just learned. That next week, I enrolled in medical school. I demoted myself to part-time at the job I was working. So I was in school and I worked part-time. This happened in April. And by August, I had a job back home in Oregon and I left. The plan was for me to take my youngest daughter and fly her across the country with me. And then he would bring my oldest daughter a couple of weeks later once I found an apartment and I was settled. Well, that didn't happen. He said that the flights were too expensive and I had to take both children. At that time in August, I flew home with both of my children. Here's my receipt. And from Virginia to Oregon by myself with my suitcases and my kids. I packed up a U-Haul box and that was all I had. So that is the sequence of events that led me to decide to leave versus waiting for him to be done with his contract in Virginia and us all leave together. I couldn't continue to sacrifice myself for someone who wasn't willing to sacrifice the bare minimum. I was constantly asking them to help me with the dishes. I was constantly asking them to take out the trash. I was constantly asking them to do all of these things that I was also doing. I became responsible for their laundry. I'm sure you guys watch this video and then there's like 700 questions, right? Like, but what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? You can see the choice people made without knowing all the options that they had. Sure, I could have stayed. Like the dog ended up getting rehomed 3 weeks later, found a farm and they had other cattle dogs and that dog lived happily ever after on this farm with 9 acres. Other dogs, and then older children. But if you are watching this and you can't understand certain aspects, that's okay. That's okay for you not to be able to put yourself in my shoes. But I have been asked why I left, and I think there are other women out there that need to hear this story. I think there are other men out there that need to hear this story. And I think this story can bring awareness that when you feel it in your gut and you know you should leave, you can. It was hard, it was scary, and it was uncertain, but I knew it would be better than had I stayed. You can make a choice that you feel is right and later learn it wasn't the best choice, but you can make the best out of that choice. I am rooting for you. I am rooting for anyone choosing better for themselves, and I am rooting for anyone choosing better for their children. I think that's all for now. I expect a lot of comments on this, and I am happy to answer questions. I am happy to make a part 2. And I need you to understand that, yes, there is so much more to this story. But that's all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you so much for being here. And you got this.